Good afternoon, everybody. Should be afternoon everywhere in the world by now. It's 12:30 on the Pacific. My name is Dee. I'm streaming out of Humboldt County, about Humboldt County to Humboldt County, and anyone else who cares. And we are going through this study of the making of America. And I got a couple friends here already. Nora, you're having the best day ever. Awesome. Diana, good to see you. I am actually very prepped up today. I did you a disservice last time. I realized I did some things wrong with the study, and I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it up to you. It's going to be better than ever before. Okay, basically. Better than ever before. But real quick, I just have to upload session 2's backside so we can follow along with that. All the other pages are uploaded, but that session 2 bled into another paper that I had not uploaded. So it's already almost there. So I was just going to chit chat with you for a second rather than keep you waiting. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a great weekend. I got news. I have a friend who's coming to visit me, and that's exciting. And our vendor event is shaping up well and nicely. I'll talk about that later. I got to stay focused. Focus, D. Focus. But let's see, what else can we talk about? Constitution-wise. Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to say. So I talked to both of my friends about the ERC program. I talked to a couple other friends, and they were both. One said, okay, well, that's CARES money, and it was passed unconstitutionally, but the money is there, so it sounds like you might as well get it, or something like that. Another one said to me, I would never, ever do that. So do what you want with it. You got a brain. You get to think for yourself. People don't come here for me to tell them what to think. No, contraire. On the contraire, that is not why people are here. Okay. I like to just have the same data, and then we can discuss it. People get caught up in talking about conversations where they're not even talking about the same data. Well, that's a waste of time, isn't it? Let's get on the same page about the law. That's what I'm doing. I want to get on the same page about the law of our land, the laws of our land, and that way, when you hear it and you know it and you start talking in the language to people around you, you can recognize it better. Because a lot of people will tell you a lot of things. If you don't know the facts, well, you just might end up in a world of hurt. I need the facts. I want our history. A lot of people talking about the problems. A lot of people talking about a lot of things. But what is this? This is not what I wanted. Maybe I should have just stayed off. And now my computer wants to bog up. Oh, joy. Come on, man. Give me a second here. I know what I did. You know when you download the whole stupid email and not just the picture you needed? That's what I did. That is what I did. So now we can upload it and get on with the study. Hopefully I'm not too far into it. It shouldn't take that long to upload a picture, Where did you go? There you are. All right. There's so much going on with Humboldt County, and I want to talk about all of that later. I really want to talk about it now, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna work on the study. That's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to work on the study. We're on session 2, questions 7 through 13. And now that I got that uploaded, we can go to it. You can follow along with me. So, I thought I was all prepped up and ready. You funny girl. You're a funny, funny, funny girl. I'll show you the errors of my ways here, what I done. Oh, English teachers, don't you love me? Don't you love me? Where is Diana? You're going to find her. Oh, is she on the channel? I changed the name in a bold move. I changed the name of Stand Up Humboldt to Access Humboldt Incorporated. I'll talk about that later when I do my first stream with it, because that's pretty much going to be everything. This channel is already everything that is opposite of Access Humboldt. No comments, no chat rooms, lies being poured out from your media. You're a disgrace to the community. And I'm taking that name and I'm going to make it better, because I've got the real history here. What it was like to make a living in Humboldt County and the way it was. And I'll be sharing lots of stories from this. And people will be able to make their own deductions from what you look like sitting up from your perch there compared to the self-reliant people of Humboldt County that we are. That is not you. So get off of Access Humboldt Unincorporated, please. We'll stay on. Oh no, let's see. How do I want to do that? I've just been keeping that one going with the constitutional classes. So yeah, she's over there. She's on that channel. Okay, 7 minutes in, that's typical. Let's go look at our study. 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Present. Oh yeah, I got one more thing I got ready for you guys today. I forgot. I worked on a little something for us. Yes, I did. Uh-oh, man. Of course I screwed up. Come on, man. I shouldn't have to have ads because I'm on the darn wrong one. Let me turn this off. I'm on the wrong one. Because it's too special to not do. Let's do it. All right, let me present this screen here. Entire screen. Let's see. That's what I want. There we go. Where are you? Well, apparently I lost it now. Darn it. Girl had all kind of good stuff lined up, but I don't know what happened. What happened? I don't know. 9.5 minutes in. I'm so sorry, you guys. All right. Forget that. Forget that. It's just going to mess me up anyway. All right. Here we go. We're going to go look online where you can follow along with this study, but I do suggest that you get your kit yourself. from the National Center for Constitutional Studies. I believe that's what it's called. So you go to standuphumble.news, go to the Constitution tab, and then you can click on either one of these and get your own kit. Okay, but if you can't do that, then just go down here. What I was uploading was session 2, page 2, but we're on still this other first page. So, and the thing I did wrong the last week when I did this was doing all this reading at once and not going through the questions. And that's why they chunk it out this way. So when I read the first principles, I should have did these questions. But anyways, I read all this reading and then I did the questions. But we're learning together, remember? Remember? No expertise going on here. This is learning. We're learning together. So number 7 is relate some interesting facts about Thomas Jefferson's birth, his early life, and his college years through age 19. And so it has us looking at pages 15 through 18, excuse me, which are here. And I have the answers for us this time. We're not going to be rereading all of this again because I did it backwards. And I do apologize. I just bit my tongue. I do apologize about that. But I will tell you the answers this time. We're not going to do all this reading again. I already did it. I did it wrong. I'm not happy about it. So I'm owning it. And I'm just going to go with it now. This is what I got to do. So the question was, again, relate some interesting facts about Thomas Jefferson's birth, his early life, and his college years throughout age 19. So he was born in the Blue Ridge Mountains in the west side of Virginia. At that time, very, rigorous territory. How do they describe it? Very primitive, not primitive. They got it in here somewhere. And what else about it? Oh yeah, he was born near the headwaters of the James River. His dad was that hard working man we heard about that it said he could upend 2 tobacco hogsheads at the same time, each weighing 500 pounds. I mean, he sounds like a giant to me, but the man was also his dad. Thomas Jefferson's dad was Peter Jefferson. He was a justice of the peace and a lieutenant colonel in the militia. The thing about his dad that I found really noteworthy today when I was reading this was one of those reasons I mentioned my 2 constitutionalist friends when I talked to them about the ERC. I don't know why the other one said they would never, ever do this. I could only assume why, because they didn't mention why. But my other friend often speaks of the American Commonwealth. And I think that's a concept that we need to get back. This whole, woke equity and stuff like that is not American Commonwealth. It's just not. So let's see. Interesting about his birth, his early life, and his college years through age 19. Well, through age 19, also, when he was 14, his dad died, and it was a complete shock to him. He really was very close to his father, and his dad was such a good man. And that made him head of his family. And I like this, what he said. When I recollect at age 14, the care and direction of himself was thrown on himself completely, without relation or friend qualified to advise or guide him, and recollect the various sorts of bad company with which he associated from time to time. He's astonished he didn't turn off with some of them and become as worthless to society as they were. That's on the next page, actually. I like that worthless of society part. Let's not be worthless to society. So interesting. I didn't know he was a redhead. I did not picture him as a redhead. It says here he was fresh, bright, healthy looking, with large hands and feet, red-haired, freckled skin, hazel gray eyes, prominent cheekbones, and a heavy chin. What I liked about his details and character was more that he was self-reliant and had a strong taste for mathematics and mechanics. Come on, girls, don't we love a guy under the hood of a car? Just saying. Just saying. It's a little sexier than putting on the white gloves and, doing whatever those, what did he say? A dandies. He did not consider himself a dandy. What I loved about Jefferson too was he was in love with learning. And I definitely want to make that a concept that I bring up again and again. I love learning. We're never to stop learning. We're always to be learning. The things we're learning, the things I've learned, I haven't even wanted to learn. I've been taking in a lot of things that are not beneficial for me unless I make a conscious choice and effort to do so, to seek out that material, because it's not just going to be on the tube when you turn it on or the social media when you turn it on. And now I think we're caught up to about age 19. Question number 8 says, what people were most influential in Jefferson's education? And then we get into who was influential. There's a couple people that were very influential. So the first time I read this, I really didn't catch this as much or just didn't comprehend it, but he drew the attention to a certain royal governor, Francis Fouquet, who had been a former student and protege of Sir Isaac Newton in England. So Jefferson had direct learnings from Sir Isaac Newton through this man. Physics. I mean, his name is accompanied with words like distinguished and, So, he was playing his violin for 3 hours a day. That was how he caught the attention. And then before he knows it, he's in the governor's palace. And he also got to attend a bunch of dinners by these men, which he said he's heard more good sense, more rational and philosophical conversations than all his life besides. And he also, so the other person that was, besides Francis Fouquet, George Rife was the one who took Thomas Jefferson under his wing as a protege. Excuse me. It says the two got along famously. You know how many languages that he learned? Look at all the stuff he studied. Oh, yuck. Get off there. He studied not only law, but also languages, physics, agriculture, mathematics, philosophy, chemistry, anatomy, zoology, botany, religion, politics, history, literature, rhetoric, and virtually every other subject imaginable, always recording quotations and observations in his personal notebooks. Jefferson called this a time of life when I was bold in the pursuit of knowledge, never fearing to follow the truth and reason to whatever results they led. Does that mean that he later got a fear for them? He could read Latin, Greek, Spanish, Italian, and Anglo-Saxon, and even French. French. So those were the people most influential in his education. Number nine says, describe the event that changed Jefferson's life. Well, I would have to say, because it tells us on page 20. Thank you, Jesus, for easy answers. Page 20. Am I on page 20 yet? Nope. Show more. It also tells us the day that changed his life. Yeah, it was when he saw Patrick Henry rise to give the speech. And particularly the quote, if this be treason, make the most of it. Jefferson was there. He says, I attended the debate, standing in quotation marks, at the door of the lobby of the House of Burgesses and heard the splendid display of Mr. Henry's talents as a popular orator. They were great indeed, such as I have never heard from any other man. He appeared to me to speak as Homer wrote. Something remarkable happened to Thomas Jefferson that day as he stood listening intently to Patrick Henry's eloquent denunciation of the abuses that were being heaped upon the American colonies. It kindled a flame in his soul. He felt such a surge of fervor for the cause of freedom and justice that the flame burned brightly the rest of his days. He later referred to this as the most important day of his life. Question answered. What was unusual about Jefferson's oral examination to gain admittance to the bar? I think it was that he was brought before the general court to gain admittance. He was being sponsored by George Wythe, Virginia's foremost legal authority. Since most lawyers submitted themselves to the bar examination after a little more than 6 months preparation, Jefferson, erudite young mind, created quite a stir among the judges that day. No matter what the subject, he seemed to know more than they did. It must have pleased George Wythe to see his brilliant pupil respond to the penetrating questions from the gentleman on the bench. Yeah, I'll bet it did. Question number 11. Describe Jefferson's efforts to get married, page 21. So he was 19. This is a funny story. So he was 19. He conjured up the courage to ask this gal. Took 3 weeks, but he got his answer later when Belinda married his best friend. Ouch. And his best friend, not knowing Jefferson's deep feelings for his fiancée, had even asked Thomas to be the best man at their wedding. Oh. It wasn't until 8 years later that Jefferson gained enough courage to propose again. And that was to Martha Wales Skelton, whose husband had died before she was 20. She often accompanied Jefferson on the harpsichord when he played his violin. From this association, a romance developed of the classical variety, which is usually only found in storybooks. Jefferson built a beautiful home for his new bride called Monticello. I've always heard it as Monticello, which is today one of the most famous houses in America. I believe you can go tour it. I've looked it up. All right, tell about 2 events that helped spread the name of Thomas Jefferson throughout America and England, pages 22 and 23. Okay, so 22 and 23. I know that in 1770, his family home burned up. Everything he owned, every book he owned, burned up in flames. But then by 75, he had his library built back up. They didn't ask about that, but I did want to mention that. Fame comes early to Jefferson. So his research was thorough and conclusive, so carefully drawn out that a well-educated traveler from New England who engaged him in conversation without knowing his identity later wrote, when he spoke of law, I thought he was a lawyer. When he talked about mechanics, I was sure he was an engineer. When he got into medicine, it was evident that he was a physician. When he discussed theology, I was convinced he must be a clergyman. When he talked of literature, I made up my mind that I had run against a college professor who knew everything. And then so that traveler must have went back to England and told all about him, because during 1774, he also wrote a paper and it went skirting across the Atlantic to England. It was called A Summary View of the Rights of British America. It provided a legal, historical, and political analysis of the rights of the English colonists in America and accused the Crown of ignoring and abusing those rights. The British government was not accustomed to thinking Americans as citizens with certain unalienable English rights. Jefferson's published pronouncement was distributed throughout America and published in England. It attracted widespread attention and aroused a considerable amount of bristling indignation in the royal court. Jefferson was then 31 years of age. Let's see what stirred him up so much. Resolved that a humble and dutiful address be presented to his majesty, begging leave to lay before him the united complaints of his majesty's subjects in America, to represent to his majesty that when he reflects, he is no more than chief officer of the people, appointed by the laws and subscribed with definite powers to assist in working the great machine of government. Single acts of tyranny may be ascribed to the accidental opinion of a day, but a series of oppressions pursued unalterably through every change of ministers, to plainly prove a deliberate, systematical plan of reducing us to slavery. Can any one reason be assigned why 160,000 electors in the island of Great Britain should give law to 4 millions in the states of America, every individual of whom is equal to every individual of them in virtue and understanding and in bodily strength, while the people have delegated the powers of legislation? When they are dissolved, the power reverts to the people, who may use it to unlimited extent. We forbear to trace consequences further. The dangers are conspicuous. Open your breast, sire, to liberal and expanded thought. Let not the name of George III be a blot in the page of history. Woo! Ree! Woo! Uh, I mean, I think those are the two ways he was famous. Was that the question? America and England. Yeah, that England blabbermouth is what it was, right? 13. What kind of year was 1776 for Thomas Jefferson? Well, it was a hell of a year, they would say. It was a hell of a year. Let's see what happened here. I know something happened that he didn't think was going to happen. It reminded me of like Joseph or Daniel, or not Daniel as much, but Joseph. Just, didn't get what they wanted, or hardly with Joseph, but I'll read about it and stop trying to trip over it. That faithful year. 76, yeah. Dark forebodings as the tide of history moved in upon the American colonies. Word came the American expedition to capture Quebec had failed. General Montgomery was killed, and Benedict Arnold, who had been a hero in his campaign, was wounded. It was only a matter of months before the Americans were driven completely out of Canada completely. Jefferson was also extremely concerned about the bad news from Boston. He had lost 4,000 soldiers. Washington had lost over 4,000 of his soldiers. Many of those remaining were sick. Others were disheartened. When their enlistments were up, a mere handful re-enlisted. And since British would not come out and fight, Washington reported that restless Americans passed much of the time simply fighting among themselves. King George disowned the American colonies. It was a dismal setting that Thomas Jefferson commenced what would turn out to be the most important years of his life, but he would have scarcely suspected it. His mother died. That's right. March 31st. He suffered excruciating migraine headaches. He did a bunch of drafts, 3 separate drafts during the next few weeks after being rejected the first 6. The longer he stayed in Philadelphia, the worse he felt. I'm on the wrong page. There it is. He had an intense anxiety to be in Williamsburg. He had requested a letter that he could go to the Virginia Constitution, but he was denied. Had it been otherwise, he would have missed the greatest honor of his life, the privilege of writing the Declaration of Independence. Is that my last page? I guess so. So that's the kind of year it was. That's the kind of year it was for Thomas Jefferson, y'all. And I'm going to cut it right here, right now. Yeah, that's what happens when you're being poisoned. Hi, Echo. Good to see you. Hey, Phil. Good to see you. Indy. Ah, love. I'll be back. I got some things to talk about. Definitely today. I don't think I could wait till tomorrow. That was hard to get through that focused. I am boiling up. There's so much going on, and I'll be back later for sure to talk about other things. But thank you guys for hanging out with the study. I really appreciate all of you who are learning and putting up with this grade B student here. Grade B. We could make it to an A. We stepped it up today. I gave a little better today. I'm going to try to give you more prep and try to keep it fun. I love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you later. Bye.